Hello and good morning. Thank you for joining us today for our third part of the Binational Trade Series. My name is Buna George and I'm the Executive Director of the Greater Yuma Port Authority, and I'm honored to be your facilitator today. So this web series was brought forth as a collaborative effort between four key partners in our mega region, which are Greater Yuma Economic Development Corporation, Forefront ED, OPRODE, which is el organismo promotor in San Luis, Mexico, as well as Greater Yuma Port Authority. So we've had great successes in our first two web events that began more or less on the West Coast in regards to an insight on maritime with the San Diego Seaport as well as the Ensenada Seaport. And this week we are back in Arizona with the focus of trade amongst borders. So I have the honor of introducing Kevin O'Shea, who is the Vice President of International Trade with the Arizona Commerce Authority, and he'll be sharing his screen along with his vast knowledge on trade and commerce. And for those of you who are outside of Arizona, he'll just give a brief narrative on what the Arizona Commerce Authority is for our state here. So your questions are more than welcome. Please put them in the Q&A box and then they will be addressed at the end of the presentation. So with that, may I introduce to you Mr. Kevin O'Shea.
Thank you very much. Buna, can you see my presentation on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Great, thanks. I'm delighted to be here with you all this morning. For some of you east of us, it's a good afternoon. We in Arizona are strong supporters of the Forefronted Initiative and delighted to be one of the four in that Forefronted Initiative and mega region. I'm with the Arizona Commerce Authority. Just a brief description of that entity. We're essentially the state of Arizona's economic development entity, essentially the state of Arizona's Department of Commerce. We are a public-private sector fusion. We are governed by a board of directors. The governor is co-chair of the board, as well as board members from the universities here in Arizona, and other board members are business leaders. So we bring government, business, and academia all together as we pursue economic development, both business attraction and business expansion here in Arizona. Today, what I'm going to share with you is essentially a presentation on that will leave you with the very clear sense of how important the binational relationship is between Arizona and Mexico, and between Arizona and Baja and Sonora. Why don't we proceed then? And as Buna said, if you have any questions, please feel to log those in. As evidence of our commitment to the relationship with Mexico, we not only have one trade office in Mexico, we have three trade offices in Mexico. We have had a trade office in Mexico City for approximately 5 years. And then within the last 12 months, we have opened 2 more trade offices in Mexico. One is in Chihuahua in the capital city, and one is in Guanajuato, in Silao. Those trade offices are staffed by local, in-country Mexico trade specialists. They are there primarily, not exclusively, but primarily to find export opportunities for Arizona companies in the Mexico market, and not merely in Mexico City, Chihuahua, and Guanajuato, but those 3 offices enable us to assist our companies throughout the country of Mexico. They also will work on some foreign direct investment projects with us, but primarily their work is on the export assistance side. What they do for our companies in Arizona is market research. If you're an Arizona company and you're looking to the Mexico market as a potential market to sell into, our teams will determine for you if there's a demand for your product or service, and also if you have some sort of a competitive advantage that will make you attractive in that market. They'll also help a company find a sales channel partner. And that's very important in Mexico, to find a local partner. And in most cases, for Arizona companies, that means a distributor. Occasionally it means a rep. Some of our companies sell direct to end buyers and users, and that could be selling direct to government, either national or state or municipal. These teams also help us when we bring Arizona companies literally into the market, and we do that in a variety of ways. We participate at a great number of Mexico trade events, many of those within the four-fronted mega region, many of those in Baja and in Sonora, but not exclusively Baja and Sonora. Most of those trade expos and trade shows that we participate at are in the aerospace sector, the security sector, healthcare technology, medical device, mining technology and software, advanced manufacturing, automation. We do some consumer product shows, and also some agricultural technology shows. We have also done trade missions to Mexico, including in Baja and also in Sonora. A trade mission for us is a trade mission that is very low on pomp, very low on circumstance, very high on doing business. We bring companies from Arizona into Mexico with the assistance of our trade teams in Mexico. Those teams have put together pre-vetted, pre-scheduled one-on-one business meetings for each of the Arizona companies, such that they're going in and meeting with potential partners or potential buyers that in advance have alerted us that they indeed are interested in meeting with these Arizona companies. So we have as you can see, a very strong commitment to the Arizona-Mexico relationship, and including in that the Arizona-Mexico trade relationship. We also help our companies in Arizona develop strategic plans to export to Mexico. If you're an Arizona company, and if you're not, we would welcome you here to Arizona to participate in our economy. We provide Arizona companies, as you can imagine, a number of business incentive programs, but we have a great number of export assistance programs that Arizona companies can avail themselves of. One of our programs is called the Export Tech Program, and this program helps a company in Arizona develop a strategic plan to exporting to Mexico. Some of the companies that we work with in Arizona who are looking at the export market in Mexico are companies that have already exported and they're looking to grow their markets. Some companies are new to export, but through the assistance of our offices in Mexico, those companies have been able to ascertain they actually have an export market in Mexico. So companies will go through our Export Tech Program, and they'll develop at the end of that program, they'll graduate with an export plan that they have put together along with an export coach that targets Mexico and is a plan specific to their product or service. We work with both product companies and service companies to help them export. We also don't leave a company with just a completed export plan and no opportunity to execute. So as I mentioned in the first slide, we do undertake a number of trade initiatives in Mexico, including trade expos, trade shows, and trade missions. And so many of the companies who graduate from the Export Tech program will be companies that we bring into Mexico for the one-on-one business meetings. Another very important program that we have in Arizona is the STEP program, the State Trade Expansion Program. That's a program that is specific to small businesses. The programs that I mentioned before, our trade office assistance and the Export Tech program, those are programs available to any Arizona company, small, medium, or large. The STEP program is a program exclusively for small businesses, and that is because the funding for that program is largely from the federal government via the U.S. Small Business Administration, and then there is a matching funding component from our state. And that program enables us to take companies into Mexico and purchase booth space, for instance, at a trade show or a trade expo. And as an example, 2 years ago, actually last year, we took 14 Arizona companies to the Aerospace Expo in Mexico City. It's called FAMEX. The next edition of FAMEX is in April of 2021, and it will be in Querétaro. But through this STEP program, we were able to purchase the booth space for all of our small businesses to participate in that show. And it really enables a small business to get into a market at a major event that is otherwise a quite expensive proposition. One of the companies that we took as part of our delegation is a Yuma Arizona company that is also has an office in Santa Ana, Southern California. That's a company called Insultech that does interior insulation products for the aerospace sector. We also took a company, an Arizona company that's based in the Phoenix area called Allied Tool and Die. Allied Tool and Die also has a presence in the region, in the mega region area. They have a facility in Mexicali, and they do a lot of work with Honeywell and their facility in Mexicali. We also take through the STEP program companies to mining shows in Mexico. Those mining shows historically have been in Sonora, in Hermosillo, and also in Guadalajara and Acapulco. So we'll bring a company that sells mining safety equipment, a company in the Phoenix area called Driver Industrial. They sell emergency and safety lighting for trucks in the mining at a mining site. Company called Skyline Assayers and Labs, which is a assayer company, and a considerable portion of their business is from their work in Mexico. So many of the companies that we're working with in the STEP program that are focused on Mexico, they derive a significant percentage of their sales, not just from international, but specifically from their sales to Mexico. So for many Arizona companies, the Mexico market is a significant percentage of their revenues, particularly companies in the mining sector, companies in the advanced manufacturing sector, and some companies in the aerospace sector. We also, through our relationship with our trade offices and various aerospace clusters in Mexico, we have a partnership with the Mexican National Aerospace Association, FAMIA, and we're working with them working with Usmca to help fill some supply chain gaps that Mexico has in the aerospace sector. Mexico has got a very dynamic aerospace sector with a impressive collection of OEMs, but also suppliers at various levels. But there remain some supply chain gaps, and companies in Arizona, including, for instance, an Insultech in Yuma, have opportunities to participate in that supply chain and strengthen that whole cross-border aerospace supply chain. Those are some of the programs that we have for Arizona companies, and I wanted to share those with you, and also reinforce our commitment to the Arizona-Mexico relationship. And it is a relationship with our border state partners, but a relationship with the entire country. I know that some of you may have questions, and Buna, I'm able to take those at any point.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kevin. We did have a question come in as far as the USMCA is concerned.
Sure.
You know, that was implemented on July 1st. And with those changes, do you foresee that being a positive factor, you know, for possible companies coming and going between Arizona and Mexico, or just US and Mexico in general? And have you seen anything in your line of work thus far?
Sure, that's a great question. There are a few significant dynamics that we're seeing right now that are stimulating more activity between U.S. and Mexico. One is the USMCA, of course, which has been recently implemented. The presence now of the USMCA just really kind of bolsters the confidence of companies both in Mexico and U.S. and also in Canada that the partnership is solid, that there are very clear sort of rules of the game. You know, even in the absence even during the whole negotiation of USMCA, while companies in Arizona were concerned about how that would unfold, it didn't slow them down in terms of their work with Mexico. They are very confident in their relationship with Mexico and their opportunities in Mexico. But I do believe that this will strengthen supply chains and provide more opportunities for Arizona companies and other U.S. companies, for instance, to participate in the automotive supply chain. Interestingly, Arizona has become, to the surprise of some, a player in the automotive industry. We don't have, by any means, the history of Detroit, but Lucid Motors is a electric vehicle manufacturer, and they have just broken ground a few months ago on a very significant manufacturing facility in Casa Grande, which is midway between Tucson and Phoenix, which puts Casa Grande about 2.5 hours north of the Arizona-Sonora border, and they will be they'll be rolling vehicles off that factory. And one of the reasons that Lucid chose Arizona for that facility is because of the strength of the relationship between Arizona and Sonora. Sonora is a player in the automotive sector, an important player. There's a very big and very successful Ford plant in Hermosillo being a few hours south of the Arizona-Sonora border, and a considerable supply chain located in that area. So We've now recently become an automotive sector. Another thing that we're seeing in terms of the U.S.-Mexico relationship, and I'm seeing quite a bit of this, companies who are in Arizona and have some of their manufacturing done in China. I'm getting more and more inquiries lately, I'd say within the last 6 months, from companies like that who are looking to, in some cases, reshore that manufacturing to Arizona, and in many cases, nearshore that activity. And by nearshore, I mean bringing it back to North America, and perhaps doing some of that manufacturing in Arizona, some of that manufacturing in Mexico. That's a great opportunity both for Mexico and Arizona and the U.S. You know, when a company is doing manufacturing in China, there's no opportunity really for an Arizona company to be involved in that supply chain. But if that manufacturing moves from China to Mexico, particularly northern Mexico, that presents considerable opportunity for Arizona companies to, as I say, sell into that supply chain.
That's great news all around. And in fact, we had a Q&A, another question come in from Mr. Luis Ramirez, asking if you'd seen any growing interest of companies that are manufacturing in China that are now looking at the Arizona-Sonora border. So
Absolutely.
with that change, it's an absolute answer. That's wonderful. Mr. Ramirez, I hope we answered your question. If you have any other last minute on the Q&A, right before we tie up, by all means, please ask ahead. And Kevin, with these, you know, the trade missions and the trade shows that, you know, the ACA does, has that flipped over kind of to a virtual trade show with everything kind of going on? And do they have the same results that you've seen in the past, or can you contribute anything to that?
Sure. Yes, indeed. The live trade show, Trade Expo, is transitioning considerably to virtual. Before I get to that, our trade teams have never been busier. That's probably shocking to some, but our trade office in Mexico City, which has been in existence for 5-6 years, has never been busier than they've been in the last 5 or 6 months. Even in the COVID environment, even in an environment where trade expos and trade shows are being canceled or more likely postponed into 2021. Why is that? Because companies are trying to figure out how they're going to survive these difficult times. And one of the ways they're going to do that is to think about exporting, to expand their markets, to expand their buyer base. So a lot of our Arizona companies are taking the time right now to explore opportunities to sell in other markets, with Mexico being one of the most important markets, obviously not the only one. So all 3 of our offices have a larger have never had a larger pipeline than they've had in the last few months. In terms of trade shows, what I've seen is a lot of trade shows have been shifted into 2021. Obviously, there's still some uncertainty about that. Most of the shows are also doing companion virtual events, and we've begun participating in some of those. You know, the jury is still out on how those will be, how effective those will be for companies. Will they see the same type of return on investment that they might see at a live show? So that's still to be determined.
Okay, wonderful. So we haven't had any more Q&A or questions come in, but you know, I really just want to stress to our audience, you know, you have a partner here in Arizona that is not only going to help you implement an export plan, but also has trade offices in Mexico for full execution. You know, like you had mentioned earlier, you don't just put a plan together and just kind of hope it comes together. You've got partners in there with ACA that are going to take you step by step by step, and then are going to continue to advocate with the 3 trade offices in Mexico in order to make those partnerships come, you know, come to fruition. So I just want to thank, you know, you as well as the ACA for really strengthening that relationship between Arizona and Mexico, and all the offices that you've got active down there. So again, I thank you. Well, thank you for your time as well, for your presentation.
You're welcome.
You know, this is going to be on Facebook Live, you know, available if somebody wants to replay it or share it with anybody that may be of value. I also want to thank our partners for Greater Yuma Economic Development Corporation, Forefront ED, Opro de San Luis, Mexico, as well as the Port Authority for making these trade series come to light. So again, thank you for that. And next week we will be back at 11 o'clock. We will be joined by Juan Guzman from DatePack in regards to the worldwide market and the date industry. So again, thank you everybody for their time. Thank you, Kevin, for your wonderful information, and we will have your contact info available. So if anybody wants to reach out to Kevin directly, they can do so. So thank you everybody for your time.
Thank you.